So, what am I going to talk to you about today? So, thanks for inviting me here. I'm going to share with you a few things on 4 areas. Those 4 areas are net zero emissions, our circular economy, climate change adaptation, and biodiversity. Now, I need to click on, don't I? Nobody's doing that for me. So, some slides. There's our vision. I just want you to take a few minutes to be the leaders in running a customer-focused railway that meets the need for biodiversity whilst future-proofing the climate change and preparing for net zero emissions society. Loads of words. So what does that really mean? There's 4 things, and I'll come into more detail, but there's 4 things I want Wales and Western, and I know they stand out. Our weather resilience, climate change adaptation plan, we are at the top of our game. We've really put a lot of work and effort into that, thinking about resilience, which if we think about resilience, that really, really helps our reliability. Net zero, we've produced a strategy for our electric vehicles. That's a really good start. Leaders of energy management in Wales and Western, we've taken on the management of our energy bills. And you go, well, that's really simple, Jane. But actually in doing that, we've saved an awful lot of money. And in doing that, we also understand how much energy we're starting to use. And it's giving us great insights into CP7 for planning. And CP7, we all know H-loss, it's going to be really difficult, really challenging securing money for our CP7 business plan. And biodiversity. So coming from projects, I love my little furry friends, dormice, great crested newts. I love them. Can't get enough of them on some of my construction sites. But no, seriously, we really do need to take consideration for our little furry friends. And we really do need to consider what biodiversity actually means for us. And we've done some of that in Wales and Western. We've got 15 trial sites. And again, I'll come on to that a little bit later. So, circular economy. We all need to consider waste. Do we really spend enough time considering waste? We purchase in the construction industry a significant volume of materials. We really need to think about purchasing those materials, using them efficiently and really trying to eliminate waste. In the construction industry, we're about 9% of recycling for our waste. Wales and Western, we're at 12%. So it's slightly better, but we've got a long way to go. And we really do need all to consider this. We need to focus on eliminating waste. We need to think about innovating our designs, reusing materials in different ways. We need to be bold and we need to think about changing our habits because it is about changing those habits. If you don't think about it, then you're never going to change. So perhaps we need to think about credit for returning the material, because actually that would be really important. But also we need to think about innovation. So concrete, it's the second most used material. And we know that, it says that on here, it's our 4th most used material. So what are we doing for our P-Way? Well, we are transitioning to composite sleepers. And I know we've got a section later from William, but I'm just going to put a few facts out there. So we're not using composite sleepers just yet in our high-speed railway. But we do know, and we need more intelligence, that they last for 50 years. Well, in fact, they probably last longer than 50 years, but I think, all I know at the moment is we've used them in Europe and they've been in place in situ for 40 years. So we need more evidence, but we definitely think they last longer than 50 years. My slide is wrong. I said I think we've installed them in the Berks and Hants, and Andy pointed out to me, no, Jane, we haven't. We've installed them in central Wales, Pwllheli, and we're going to do some down in Somerset and Devon. So where do we use them? Well, we use them in our spot re-sleepering, 1 in 3. But our aspiration is to really use our composite sleepers everywhere where we do spot re-sleepering. So how many miles of track have I got? I've got 3,344 route miles of track. Average 26 sleepers a length, so how many sleepers? Just over 7.6 million sleepers. Currently, in my plain line portfolio, I'm probably renewing about 1.2% of our assets, and we're refurbishing about 5%. I've talked about 3 sites. It's not many, is it? So we really do need to get behind this. Our vision, as I said, is to put them all in our spot re-sleeping, but can we use them more? And William's going to tell us later, can we use them in more places? Can I use them in tunnels? Can I use them in tunnels? Because I have lots of problems in tunnels. Can I use them on S&C? Those of you that have known me for a long time, S&C is a bit of my passion. I love S&C. Can I use them more on my S&C, please? So, but yes, we'll hear later from William and see what we can do with using more about our composite sleepers. Moving on, net zero's emissions. So again, what do I want to talk about in net zero emissions? Well, it is all about energy efficiency. We've got a detailed programme of works. They're focusing on reducing our carbon impact and our resilience and reliance on our grid electricity system. So with the areas we've got here, our combined heat and power unit, our internal lighting, our building management optimisation, we've got, at the moment, we've achieved about an 18% reduction in our energy bills. Our target is 11, so it's really good. We're above our target. We've got about 13% in carbon emissions, and we've saved about 150k per annum. But we've also got to think these are very small beginnings. We can all do much more. But do we spend enough time thinking about this? Or are we always thinking about that next big renewals project or that next big renewals? It's the small things. It's about turning our electricity off when we go into buildings, unplugging your computers. Do you ever do that when you're in the office? We do it at home, but we do it when we're in the offices. We've also worked in partnership, which has been great fun, with Atkins and Cardiff University, and we've taken Reading Station as one of our managed stations because we've got lots of buildings on our stations. So using a digital twin, we've modelled and done some modelling of our stations to understand the heat that we're using in all of our buildings. Because again, we've got waiting rooms, but most of the time those waiting rooms are empty. They're not really used during the night, but we have the heating on all the time. We're now putting sensors into those buildings to understand when we can turn the heating off and how much energy we can save. But again, it's small things, it's very small things, but we really do need to think about doing this in all of our buildings. You go into the office, every day in the office. At home, your house is cold. In the office, I can walk in, I take my cardigan up, I sit down, and I'm still hot. That can't be right. We really do need to think about our energy bills. And then I talked very briefly about electric vehicles. Again, it's only a small start, and we've thought about our passengers and our customers. More people are using electric vehicles. So we've put in 160 charging points at our managed station at Reading. We've got great plans for all of our other stations, which we're building into CP6 and the future. And again, a small start, but our IMDMs, all our DMUs, in both Swindon and Bristol, we've bought them 9 electric vans. So we've bought those electric vans to understand whether we can get confidence in them. Are they going to work when we want them to work? How long do they keep their charge for? Can we get round from an operational perspective to service our railway? And therefore, should we change all of our vans to electric? We just need to gain that confidence. One of my favourite subjects, weather resilience. So this is every civil engineer's excitement and some people's nightmare. But especially when you wake up to the top photo in the right-hand corner. Anybody know where that is? Go on, quick show of hands. Anyone know where that is? Welsh Pool? No, it's... No, sorry, top left hand. Top left hand. Top left hand. Yeah, okay. So, weather resilience. So we've done an awful lot of work around our weather resilience. And when you wake up to pictures like that, and when you hear it on in the morning, when you're turning your phone on and we've got a washout again, the old way of doing this would be, well, we want to put in lots of viaducts, lots of culverts, which are extremely expensive. So we've worked really, really hard with the Environment Agency. We've got people in our team from the Environment Agency and also Natural Resources Wales. Because we're not only coming up with solutions, but we're thinking about the impact in our environment and what's changing with regard to climate change. So working with the Environment Agency is enabling us to model our railway, to look outside the boundaries and understand what is happening with our water. But a thing that we've tried here in the top left-hand corner is that instead of getting these washouts and spending a vast amount of money and putting, as I say, viaducts and culverts in, we've trialled rock armour. Rock armour is a fantastic solution. So rock armour doesn't stop the water, but it slows it down. So it stops it taking the railway, washing the railway away. And what it enables us to do is instead of having the railway washed out and it spend 3 months putting it right. We can actually get the railway back in a couple of hours. We've put these solutions in three locations in Wales, and so far we've had more rain, we've had lots more flooding, and we've had no further washouts. So it absolutely is the right thing for us to be trialling. And also the picture of the bridge, that's Black Bridge. So again, this wasn't a life-expired bridge. So from an asset management perspective, it really doesn't need renewing. And as we all know, budgets are becoming tighter. It's becoming harder to generate the funding to ensure that we can keep renewing our assets. So we only renew them when their life expired. So but every time we were getting high weather, you can see the water at the level, we were having to close the railway because we couldn't prevent the water from going onto the bridge. We've got remote condition monitoring out there, so we can see where the water's coming. We can close the line. That's all great, but we're still closing the line. So basically, again, we kept that existing bridge. We came up with an innovative design. It's not that innovative, really. What we did was we just lifted that structure 1 metre out of the water. Okay, so we had to build new abutments, new piers, but it was a much more cost-effective solution. And obviously, we had to lift the track. We had hundreds of metres of track to lift and take the levels out. But it was a much more cost-effective solution. Peter said earlier, we do need to think about costs. Costs is not our number one priority. With inflation and with costs rising, it's so important that we do come up with the innovative designs so that we keep the costs down. We're all paying, we're all taxpayers, we all pay for this. So it was a great solution. It only took us 10 months, and subsequently, we've still got the remote condition monitoring there, but we are obviously well out of the water. So it's fantastic news for all. Biodiversity. So we are really trying to change. I made the joke earlier about my little furry friends. Well, we do need to consider our little furry friends. We do need to consider nature. We do need to consider our boundaries and what's outside the boundaries. We've done some satellite imagery and we've got data to really understand the railway and the boundaries either side. And we're looking beyond our fence line, which for railways, we generally don't do that. But it's so important looking beyond that fence line because then we can work with our partners and our stakeholders. And we're also finding similar habitats. So we're trying to change the way we work and we're trying to change the way we're doing and improve that connection with the habitats around us. So I've embedded in the team ecologists. The ecologists are hugely important because they need to work with our teams and we all need to be thinking about this. And okay, I've embedded ecologists, but I want everybody. It's a bit like CSM and interoperability. Everyone always goes, oh, that's a systems engineering thing. That's some person sat over there doing that. No, it's not. It's legislation. Everybody needs to understand it and know about it. So ecology, I've embedded the ecologists because I want people to start thinking in a different way. And I want them to basically think about doing things differently. So instead of just going in and massacring all the trees, burning it, taking down the shrub, can we do something different? Can we enhance the habitat for the dormice, for the crested newts? What is it can we do differently? We've got 15 sites that we're trialling at the moment, and it's been hugely important to trial those 15 sites. Because why? It's like any other project. We want to learn about what we're finding, how we're remitting, what we're procuring, how we're planning, what the ecologists are thinking, and then how we're going to deliver it and how we're going to change people's mindsets. Because if I don't get this right now, when we start to bid for our CP7 funding, if I haven't got a robust strategy and a robust plan, I'm never going to be able to stand up and demand that actually I do need money for that. And I need to actually reduce the number of renewals and think about the risk of the renewals, but I need to increase my biodiversity. I need to increase my weather resilience funding because these are really important. So what I want to leave with you today is a few things. I could have come up here and talked about loads of civil engineering things. My favourite subject, my FRP footbridge that I won't talk about much about, but that's a great footbridge. It's built with no concrete, no steel. We got a boat manufacturer, a car manufacturer. They were amazing. They came in, they've completely transformed the way we've done that footbridge. And I could have talked to you about lots of other things that from a civil engineering and track and P-way and signalling perspective are all big projects. But I wanted to talk to you about the little things, and I want you to consider 5 things. And those 5 things, I want you to consider the whole life carbon in all your decision making. I want you to think about new, innovative ways of improving our climate change innovation in all aspects of asset management. I want you to design in mind with reducing carbon and really think about that when you're designing. I want to make sure that you're really considering waste and how you're going to dispose and get rid of that waste. And then I really want you to consider the eco-services and think about that greener infrastructure and what can you really do. And everybody in this room, and it was interesting last night because I was sat next to Paul and he was talking about his self-compensating sleepers. Now, I know we're using self-compensating sleepers, but what Paul said to me last night was, well, it's taken a long time, and we've been going at this for ages, and we're still on a trial. And why? Why are we still on a trial? As Wells and Weston, as the chief engineer, that's what all my team call me, and we have the accountability, and I have the responsibility, and I have a chief engineer of all disciplines beneath me. So whatever product you're trying to get in, as long as we understand the value it brings, please come and put it on my table, because I absolutely want to help you bring those products in. So I want us to be really bold. I want us to challenge. And I really do mean challenge, because whenever I stand up and say, it's a bit like standards changes, everyone says, oh, we've got too many standards in Network Rail. And I say, come and tell me what changes you want to make to the standards. And I still have a blank desk because I've got no suppliers coming in and telling me what changes they want to make. So I do really mean this. So I want us to challenge. I want you to challenge others. I want us to learn from our mistakes. I want us to take control. And actually, all together, we can really move the dial on sustainability. So thank you for listening today, and if you've got any questions or if you've got anything you want to innovate, please come and talk to me, because the door is absolutely open. Thank you, everybody.